Welcome to the Ryan King podcast.
Do you ever feel like you've benefited from being half white?
Half white.
Do you think there's anything wrong with a biracial person wanting to benefit from both of their cultures?
No.
There's anything wrong with that?
I don't feel like I can see where other people may feel a certain type of way, but also you gotta realize like that person didn't ask to be biracial, right?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ryan, aka Ryan King. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and for those who are here, who are just coming to my channel, you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And for my returning viewers, hey bestie, welcome back. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It's very much appreciated. If you guys do not know, we're at 1.7k subscribers. That's a huge milestone for me because I remember when I started at 65. So I just wanted to take this time to say thank you so much to everybody who subscribed to my channel and continues to show love. All right, moving to the juicy part of why we're here in the first place. I have a special guest. I'm gonna let him introduce himself in a second, and then we're gonna dive into the topic.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? AJ, aka official AJ. I'm just here. First time on the podcast. Really looking forward.
Yeah, this is your first time being on the podcast ever?
Yeah, not my first time being on a podcast. I was on a podcast. It was called the Kicking Shit Podcast. Went out for it one time up in Baltimore with a couple of friends.
Oh, cool.
But that's been a few years, so I'm glad to get back into it. Really looking forward to getting to the conversation today. So.
Yeah, and I'm excited to have you here. Thank you so much for agreeing to be here today. Today we're going to be talking about biracial people and what it means to be black or what it means to be biracial. So first, if you don't mind, can you share with us what you're mixed with?
So I actually just recently did a 23andMe testing about a year ago. A little background about me, didn't grow up with my biological parents. I'm actually adopted, so I kind of went majority of my childhood and my younger life not knowing really what I was mixed with and just going off of the, people tell me, oh, I look like this, I look like this. I'm like, I got tired of that. I'm like, let me find out for myself. Took the test, got my results back. Come to find out, I'm a third Irish, third British, and I'm a third Nigerian.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So you got that black in the...
Yeah, a little something.
So your adopted parents, what are they?
My mom is Hispanic and my dad is European.
Okay, interesting family. You have a very much mixed family, and I'm sure you have a different experience too compared to other biracial kids. But okay, so I guess I want to find out, what has your experience been like being biracial, being a product of two different cultures that sometimes may not see eye to eye?
I really didn't see, I guess coming from you, you're looking at the situation from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
Me growing up, I never really looked at it like that, oh, I'm being raised by two different cultures. No, I wasn't, when I was growing up, that wasn't anything I noticed because that was just my day-to-day life. But growing up with my parents and stuff like that, they were, I grew up in North Carolina, you know what I'm saying, nice little neighborhood, all this other stuff.
Southern.
So yeah. And then, moved out their house and I came out here to DC and I kind of got a taste of the city life. So very different, very big culture shock. They say, from the south coming up to the capital of the country is kind of a big jump. But as for my standing with it, I don't know,
It just was never a thing.
It was just never a thing I actually really gave much thought about because it just wasn't something that was on my mind. Like I said, it's just my life.
Okay, so were you growing up, were you seen as black or were you seen as Hispanic? Because you say your mom was Hispanic and dad was white. So were you seen as black or white?
So
people even know you were Hispanic?
No, nobody knew what I was. Like I said, I just recently took that test. So when people just ask me oh, what are you? I was I'm just I'm mixed.
What is the way that people assume that you are, but just first looking at you?
They probably think oh, brown skin, black, because I am light skin, I am mixed. How do you get my skin complexion, black and white, usually it's the main ingredients for that. So but it's just
It wasn't you. So okay, growing up in the South, there's a lot of black people there, especially in North Carolina. Would you say that you had a black experience growing up or living there?
Like, nah, I wouldn't say that. No,
No.
I wouldn't say
Okay.
that.
How was that? Like, how was it like growing up knowing that you would be considered black, but you're like.
So like, I was considered black with like white parents. So if that makes sense, like I was like, I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, I wasn't like grew up like any hood or any ghetto. Like my father like worked very hard, like make sure like try to keep us at that environment. So I did grow up in like suburban neighborhood. But it's just like that's pretty much how I was looked at. Like, you know, my friends like, no, you're black. You know, you got, you know, they pretty much told me like, yeah, you're black, but you like the culture. So that was pretty much, you know, a little something. So that's why I said, like when I moved out here, DC, like it was such a big
diverse
culture. So like the way I grew out, you know, without a lot of that, you know, other half culture and stuff like that. So when I came back here and just got that full experience, just like
do you feel more at home here, or do you feel more at peace knowing that there are a lot of people who would look like you up here in DC compared to North Carolina?
So I want to say like I feel more at home here. What I do feel, I feel more like, I guess like at home like with myself, because now I'm actually experiencing both sides, you know, of the playing field, you know, when it comes to, you know, the white side and like my black side, you know what I'm saying? So I gotta, you know, grew up in this, you know, in this environment, you know, suburban area and stuff like that, but now like I'm out here like out in DC and I met like a lot of friends and stuff like that, and they really like shown me and, you know, got me hip to a lot of the culture out here. And, you know, I'm a big fan of it, you know, I'm still here. I've been out here for almost 5 years, so, but yeah, you know, there's a reason for that. But I wouldn't say like I want to feel more at home one side or the other. Like they're still pretty neutral. So. Sure.
Okay, so what do you consider yourself? If a stranger makes you.
I'm light skinned.
Light skinned? What does that mean?
No, I'm just light skinned.
What?
So.
Would you consider yourself a black person, or would you consider yourself? So how would you identify? How do you identify as far as race?
Race wise, like. Yeah, I wouldn't say like I say black, like I said, 'cause I'm not fully black. I am mixed, so I guess it's kind of like a weird like predicament, like with being like multiracial, like like people always gotta make it seem like you got like pick a culture, you know, pick a race like to, you know, to rock with. That's how you identify. I'm like, I really don't know. Like me, I'm like I'm mixed. You know, I'm a mixture of everything. You know, I'm just light skinned, or I just tell people like, what's yours? I'm mixed. So
okay.
And they ask for specifics, you know, that's how I get into it. But you know, I don't have a specific race that, you know, just wholeheartily claim. You know?
See, this is the first time I heard a biracial person say that. Just telling people I am biracial. A lot of times when you meet mixed people, they usually pick one culture to represent themselves as, which is black. And I always put a question mark to that, because I'm like, you're not, like, I don't want to say you're not black, but you're not just black and you're not just white.
Exactly. You're
both. And so that's why they came up with the name biracial, to let people know that, oh, they might see you like, okay, this is not a white person, it's not quite a black person, biracial. That is the word to describe that group of people as a whole. But then a lot of mixed people tend to just represent one, and I always wondered about that. Do you have thoughts on why you think that they only represent the black culture? Black biracial people, to be precise.
I don't know. I guess it's just probably more of a sense of like environment. Like I said, like, you know, unfortunate as it is, like you don't see like a lot of people like melanin in their skin, like growing up in suburban neighborhoods. And like I said, I'm thankful for it and everything like that. But it's also like, you know what I'm saying? That's probably why other people more associate with that side, because they have a deeper connection, I guess, with that side of the culture. Like I said, I'm coming from the other side of the you know, the diagram, you know, come from suburbia and then hopping into, you know, the culture, you know, getting, you know, meeting all these other people and stuff like that.
So it's more cool to be black.
I mean, not to like really like say that, but yeah, that's like if you really look at today, like that's the trend right now. Like that is the trend. Like, you know, being like black is cool. Being black is cool.
You know, we represent the culture. We represent a huge part of America. It's like when you look at, if you're an outsider looking into America and you ask for like the American culture, it's usually represented by the black culture. Being black is just
whether it being music, whether it be like fashion, art, you know, everything. So it's just the influence is just getting bigger and bigger by each day. So
yeah, and so So one of the things that I also worried about is that, I felt like, and while I was an advocate for biracial people just being themselves, which is two cultures, and that makes them unique as it is. But I was also like concerned about the fact that they could eventually, if they're being considered black, they'll be representing people like me as black. And I know a lot of people will be like, but what's wrong with that? It's like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, for little things. Take, for example, if they say the first black person and not knowing or putting a face to it, I'm expecting to see a black person. But then a biracial person shows up. And to me, it's like, well, like, yeah, they are black. They have black in them, but they're not quite black. They are a mixture of two different cultures. So how do you feel about black mixed people becoming to be the face for black people? Take, for example, let's say a movie is coming out and a biracial person is representing black women. How do you feel about that?
So, like, I wouldn't, like, my opinion on that would be, at the end of the day, like, everyone's supporting the same cause, right? Now, would that be, like, one person does it better than the other? I'm not saying that, but it's just, you guys are all representing the same cause, and, like, they do have melanin in their skin, they're technically, like, then most people's eyes are considered, like, black, they got a little bit of melanin in their skin. So,
but do you think that down the line it would eventually erase what it means to be black?
No, not at all.
You don't think so?
No, because the support for the same cause is still going on. Like, regardless of what the face of it is, like, that support is still going towards that cause.
See, this is a tough one because you said regardless of what the face is. I feel like it does matter to a certain extent.
Now, if you had, like, someone come in, like,
Caucasian.
Like, okay, like, you can't, I mean, yeah, like, they can still convey a message, but it wouldn't really be perceived by the culture with that much effect as if someone with melanin in their skin came in. So
exactly.
So it wouldn't have that much effect. Or I wouldn't say not that much, but it wouldn't have, like, any greater effect than, if a black person were to come out and be the face of that movement or that message.
Exactly. And see, that's where my discrepancy comes from. And also, like, you have people who are white passing. They claim, not that they claim, they are inherently black, or they have a little bit of black in them, but they're just white passing. Now, they can, if we start considering them black or letting them represent black, white passing people have that pass too. If I see it, and it's because that's what it is. And
I wouldn't say that's what it is. I wouldn't say it's a black thing. I want to say it's more of a culture thing, right? Because, like, let's say, what is your idea of black culture? What is black culture to you?
Black culture to me, oh man, black culture to me is anything that represents blackness in our art. Like, that's a hard question. That's hard to answer.
It is.
It's like, what does it mean to be black, right? Being black is not just the melanin of our skin, but our history, where we come from. Being black is the food, the music we engage in. But then again, I also understand that there's nuances to that. It's different kinds of blackness, so blackness represented in different ways.
Now, would you agree with me when I say, like, that all depends pretty much on environment, right? The environment you grew up in, you will reflect and portray the tendencies of the environment which you grew up in.
When you say environment, what do you mean?
Like, let's say, like, here, like with me, like, I grew up, like I said, I had to be introduced to the culture because I grew up in a suburban neighborhood. Like I said, that's not, everyone like me isn't, I guess, afford the opportunity to grow up in, like, a nice neighborhood, suburban area and stuff like that. Unfortunately for a lot of, people with melanin and stuff like that, they're in, you got the ghettos, you got the hoods and stuff like that, right? But that can't go to say, like, they're still, like, like, white folks and people in those type of environments that grew up in the same environment as y'all, doing the same stuff and everything like that, that come up and they actually like represent the culture, but they kind of get a little bit of backlash that says you're representing the culture, but you're not technically a part of the culture because of skin. You know, does that make sense?
Appropriating a culture.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you trying to say?
Like, I'm trying to get like my thoughts together on it.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like properly like find a way to articulate it without like trying to sound.
So pretty much you're saying like if a white person grew up in a neighborhood where grew up around black people,
like,
grew up around black culture,
you put a white person in a black community.
In a black community, and he supports the cause. He's the forefront representation of the cause. There to represent the struggle as well. Should we call him black? At the end of the day, he's just a white person.
I want to say you can't call him black because he's not black, but you can say he's like he represents and is for the culture due to the environment which he grew up in.
So
the same
he's black
environment
by association. Should we say he's black by association, or should we just call him a white person who? True, I get it. It's like, should we say? Because I was gonna say he's a white person who just supports the culture and who loves the culture, but. You know, it's like call a spade a spade. That's how I was like, call a biracial person as opposed to a black person. Because then, you know, if every biracial person is considered black, or like black biracial person is considered black, then that means that they'll start representing me. And so, take for example, if I go to the store and I see a product and it's meant for black people or black hair, and then I see like a biracial hair, and then it's like, we don't have the same hair texture, it's not gonna work for me. And that's happened so many times. Or when I see, it's like I feel like biracial women or biracial people, they do have their own struggles. They do have, but this is the thing, they have biracial struggles, and I have black struggles. They will never understand what it means to be a black person, a black woman, because with them, their own reality is a little slightly different from mine. But the thing is, people don't agree with that because they're like, at the end of the day, they're black. The one drop rule. But it's like...
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I would say like a biracial person, you can really play the like devil's advocate on that situation where like, you say like,
I'm
oh, at the end of the day,
like,
oh, they represent the culture, but not fully black and so that. But like, what you're saying, like on the black side of things, like it also goes the same way. Now, like you'll find like I've met myself in like some situations like this, and I know like other people have to where like you're not fully accepted by the black community, alright, because you're not black, but then also at the same time you're not fully accepted by the white community because you're not white. So kind of we're like stuck in like this little area like on our own.
What's wrong with biracial people being biracial people? It's like,
there's nothing wrong with that, and
that's another thing too.
That's like when you I think we talked about it earlier, like where like there's kind of like this little.
Like making them pick a side.
Like pick a side. Like,
I don't think it's fair to them.
I don't think that's fair at all. Like,
and I'm not saying that they should create their own risk, because then people are gonna say, "Oh, you're promoting segregation." That is not what I'm saying at all. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that, you know,
telling them to pick a side, I feel like it's promoting segregation.
That's what I'm saying.
You gotta pick a side. Like which one is it?
But that's the thing. They cannot pick a side, so they should just.
Yeah.
They should just.
And we do have like our own little community.
They should do what they feel.
Yeah, we do. We do have like our own little community. We do have like our own like. Now everyone knows like the typical like light skin stereotypes and stuff like that. We have those just like, you know, black people have them, white people have them, every other race has them, right? We do have our own community. We do have essentially our own culture, but it's not on the scale, I would say, as like black culture, like white culture, because if you look at it, like biracial people are kind of like, for lack of better terms, like newer in like society, alright? Because you know, you go way back when, alright, white people weren't supposed to be with black people weren't being with white people, so you know, they had much longer to pretty much develop and thrive like within their cultures, right? And then when we started having like integrated marriages and all this other stuff, and the biracial people started coming out, alright? So we've had like a lot less time on the clock, alright, which is why like I feel like our culture really isn't as big as anyone else's, it isn't as represented, so we're kind of still stuck because of that. We still want to be heard, but
y'all are very much represented. Y'all are pretty much part of the black community. You guys are the face of the black community in many cases.
But I feel like the reason is because that like we're trying to put on for our own culture, but our platform isn't big enough. So we kind of have to choose a side. That's where I think the choosing comes in. Like, hey, you got to choose a platform to hop on so you can go ahead and represent your culture so your voice can be heard to put on for your culture. For right now, like you and me both agree, like being black is cool right now. So that's why you see a lot of biracial light-skinned people pretty much hopping on like, oh, I'm black. I'm black because I feel like they're just trying to get out there and get their voices heard so they can go ahead and put on for their culture and for their community. Like I said, we're still real new to the game right now.
I think they feel the pressure to pick a side because of society. And I get it. It's because of the one drop rule that just always been, if you have any ounce of blackness in you, you need to, you're black. But I feel like with that rule fails to acknowledge the fact that people are diverse, people are multifaceted, and also it fails to recognize that it's okay to be diverse and embrace it. It's okay to be different and embrace it.
And for those y'all who don't know, like the one drop rule is pretty much like a Jim Crow law back in the day that said you just had any trace of melanin or black in you were considered black, and that was it. No matter what your skin tone was. And I think that's the mentality that everyone is bringing to today's day and age. Because I'm not gonna lie, some biracial people, some of them have kinky hair like me. Some, just some. So I can see how they would automatically want to like call themselves black. But at the same time, to what I'm trying to say is, it's okay to also accept your other culture, your other side, as opposed to being ashamed of it. I feel like a lot of them are ashamed of their white side or their not so much Blasians. Blasians are the only biracial people that I know. Like they love their Asian side and their black side, or Hispanic and black. They love the Hispanic side, but the biracial group of people that I know, they don't like their white side is the ones that are mixed white, and I don't know why. That's something to be. That's something to celebrate. You have two different cultures to like rep.
To any dark-skinned girl that ever felt unworthy or not beautiful enough, I'm here to tell you guys that forget society's standard of beauty. Your beauty is unique in its own way, and that's okay that you're not like everybody else. You just need to learn how to love your skin, love who you are, and the best way to show love to your skin is to take care of it and nourish it with the right ingredients. Chocolate Skin by Rhina uses all natural ingredients in their products. Honestly, it's the best thing I've ever created. So run now to our website, Chocolate Skin by Rhina, to grab you a body butter or body oil and enhance the beauty of your melanin.
Well, so what you're saying, like how you said, like Blasian people, like Black and Asians, they get along, or like Hispanic Asians, they get along, right? If you really go back and look at it, they don't have the conflict that black and white people have.
True.
All right, like you go back, just go back 6 years. What do we have? We had Jim Crow laws, we had segregation. All right, all this other stuff. You go back 300 more years. All right, white people, Caucasians used to own black people. All right, we weren't people, we were property. All right, and yes, people say, oh, it was 400 years ago. Okay, yeah, 400 years is still like, it's a long time, but it's not really a long time, right? And then, like I said, you go back 60 years to, the civil rights movement. That's very recent. We still have people who are still alive today that went ahead and saw Martin Luther King walk and everything, fight for the rights that we have today. Yeah. All right. So when you try to compare like other biracial races like that, it's just like you really got to look into the history of both those races and what they have. Right. There's really I feel like there's no other race like here in America that has the conflict as black people and white, all right? And I feel like that's why we're kind of put in a situation, because still that, yes, even though we're kind of moved on for it, we're not. We're really not working any solution out right now. So kind of, we're in a situation where like, okay, we kind of have to pick a side, because even though it's not really like talked about, it's kind of like a quiet beef. Like you still have it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you still have that beef, so you kind of got to pick a side.
We still got some things to straighten out.
Yeah.
I get it.
So I feel like that's why most people feel like they have to be put in that type of situation, because of that residing beef that's still going on to this day.
Well, I'm glad I'm having this conversation with you. My mindset was already set on what I was thinking, like, I just, because I didn't quite understand why, but you provided some clarity for me. And with that being said, you guys, let's take a 5-minute break and we'll be right back with the same conversation. Alright guys, welcome back. Now that we're back from our break, I have a few questions to ask, and it's about your privilege as a biracial person.
Privilege?
Yes. You guys have a lot of privilege, not only the privilege of you being represented by, or representing the black community, but also being the first pick when it comes to black people, whether it be for movies, music videos, I mean, you name it. How would you say you use your mixed privileges?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's.
Okay,
let's say here, so here, like
okay.
you say privilege, right? I wouldn't say there's necessarily a privilege with either or race. There are their pros and cons with each side. All right, does that make sense?
But we know that you guys have the upper hand when it comes to certain things, compared to darker skinned black people, in the sense that you will probably get a lesser consequence than somebody who's actually black. You will probably be overlooked for a crime compared to somebody who is actually black. That's the kind of privilege I feel like you guys got. Or be the first pick.
And like I'm trying to start anything what backs that? Like I feel like we don't really have that. Grant, there may be certain situations. I'm trying to figure out how I'm really
colorism.
Trying to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like there is a play of colorism in some certain situations, but also at the end of the day, like what we were talking about previously, like we're pretty much in that battle of pick a side. Like let's say like for example like criminal cases. All right, our fate is going to depend on the color of the judge. I guarantee, because if the judge is white, he gonna look at us as black. Now, you know what I'm saying? Now, like, we have a black judge, he may look at us as black, he may also look at us as like, oh, like you're light skinned, like you're not all the way, so there may be some colorism within there, you know what I'm saying? But
that's
I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say
there is. That's the privilege I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say there's like a constant privilege. There are like certain situations, all right, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like every race, every background has their select niche of privileges. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
If you want to put it that way, we would take it.
Mm-hmm.
Put it
now, Grant, I would say that there are some courses that have more, like we all know who, where the white people, privilege, comes from. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like for other races stuff like that, like we do have like our own little niches and stuff like that. And I wouldn't, you can't really knock anybody for it's in your arsenal. Why not use it? You know what I'm saying? It helps you, you know what I'm saying, get forward and everything. Like, go ahead and use it. Like, go ahead and get your hustle on.
Okay, so another advantage that you guys have is that you guys have the ability to benefit from either side. Like, when do you benefit from being white? What can you describe to me like a situation? Do you ever feel like you've benefited from being half white?
Half white? I would say, like, I don't know, that's kind of, I wouldn't necessarily word it like that, but there have been, like I said, like situations where like colors kind of plays in. Like I said, like my background and the environment which I was raised in, I can, I guess that helps me, be able to play out certain situations a certain type of way. Like I said, like people come from other different backgrounds and environments, they go about it a different way. What is it? I guess an example I could use was back in when I was down in Virginia Beach, like me and my friends kind of got pulled over. We just walking on the street, we got pulled over. It was like, yo, Jay, you do the talking. I'm like, all right, because you already know it was 4, 5 white officers that pulled up, and I went on my dark skinned friends. All right, I was like, hey man, you do the talking, man, you do the talking. All right, and they already knew the background I came up in, everything like that. I kind of have I know the language, you know what I'm saying? I know the language and know how to interact in certain type of ways and how to pretty much de-escalate. Mm-hmm. And so
so that's one way you used it. And you used it to help.
Yeah, help, get pretty much. I would use it to help de-escalate. I don't think you really use privilege to escalate. I don't know.
Yeah, you can. If you're a light-skinned person, then you feel me. You lie about something, you can escalate the situation.
I mean, that's with anybody though. You lie about anything, you can escalate a situation. A lie in general can escalate a situation. That doesn't really have any preference towards race or race or gender or anything like that. Lie is a lie. Escalate.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So about privilege, right? Do you think that do you think there's anything wrong with picking and choosing when to benefit from your two cultures? Because take for example, Jocelyn Hernandez had a little argument with Amber Rose, and she was pretty much saying, "Oh, you want to be white. You only you know, represent yourself as black when you want to benefit from it, but then you also saying that you white." Do you think there's anything wrong with a biracial person wanting to benefit from both of their cultures?
Honestly, like, no.
There's nothing wrong with that?
I don't feel like, I can see where other people may feel a certain type of way, but also you gotta realize, like, that person didn't ask to be biracial, right? They didn't, like, come to this world where they had, like, checkers of, I want this, and this, right? That didn't happen, right? But just because, you know, it goes for anybody. If the opportunity is afforded to you, why not take it? Like, everybody in this world is trying to be the best they can be and be as successful as they can be, and they will use any road, alley, or any type of avenue they can take to go ahead and do that, you know, as long as, like, it you know, stays within, like, their morals and stuff like that, right? If you're biracial, you're able to essentially pretty much play both sides of the field to help you advance on and better yourself and the people around you. I see nothing wrong with that whatsoever, right?
You know what?
But the animosity comes from people who pretty much weren't born with that, right? You know what I'm saying? They were like, oh, you like, so you get to do all this. I'm like, okay, but like, I didn't ask to be born like this, and you're knocking me. You be doing the same stuff I'm doing. If you're in my situation, you be playing both sides of the field, all right?
So do you think there's some kind of jealousy there from
I would say there is some sort of jealousy, animosity towards that. But at the end of the day, you really can't knock that person for doing that, because like they didn't come to this world picking who they were, all right? But they saw the opportunity that they had, and they pretty much decided to capitalize on it, and, you know, to further their growth and to further themselves. So,
you know, I kind of see where you're coming from, because I'm putting myself in your shoes. Like, if I had the opportunity to benefit from two different cultures, in whatever way, I would probably take it. Like, if I know that's gonna advance myself.
No, you got to look at it.
I don't think, me personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with Amber Rose wanting to benefit from being white or black. I think that, you feel me, she should instead promote the diversity, promote both of her cultures, because she is that. She's not just either or.
But even like you said, like that, she's not either or. I really don't think that's essentially like choosing to be. That's not, I wouldn't say essentially choosing to be a race at certain times, all right? Because being as a biracial person, you get to essentially take in both cultures. You have the opportunity, right? You have the opportunity to pretty much take in both cultures, where a lot of like one race people don't have that. Like, if you're black, like, you want to, like, a lot of black people don't walk into trying to absorb the white community and absorb their culture and vice versa, right? Whereas like you're biracial, you're kind of like in the middle of everything. Like you're pretty much kind of forced to do it. And I wouldn't say it's choosing a race, but I feel like it's choosing to associate with certain cultures at the time, not specifically a race, but a culture. Because like I said, like they said, you're pretty much like forced to take on both cultures, but at the same time, you can't take on both cultures wholly. You got to keep them separated, all right? Like there's no middle. Like you either like constantly throughout the day, like whatever situation you're in, it's pretty much pick a culture. I wouldn't say it's picking a race, but choosing to use and utilize certain aspects of a certain culture at certain times. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
That's the way I look at it. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a race thing, but more of a cultural thing.
Yeah, more a cultural thing. And this is why we need to have these conversations, because I had a totally different view from it, but it put things into perspective for me. It's like hearing someone who literally is living in it explain it this way. It's like, okay, I can understand. And I'm also right now like putting myself in your position. Whenever you're talking, I'm like, okay, I get it. All right, so another thing that I've heard about biracial men, light-skinned men.
She said light-skinned men. She went from biracial to light-skinned, so she knows she got some shit.
You know, there's different kinds of light skin. You got the black light-skinned. I'm talking specifically about biracial light-skinned men. So a lot of times they grow up having to pick and choose. They grow up having that, having to like fight that battle of not being black enough, or you know, you get the teasing from kids telling you that, oh, you're not black enough. And so because of that, word on the street is they try to date black women, specifically darker skinned women or brown skinned women, so that they can show people that they are in fact black enough. From my understanding, you are dating a black woman, dark skin to be specific.
Oh my goodness.
Was your choice in your relationship partner have anything to do with the fact that you wanted to prove to people that you were black enough?
So, no. I'm gonna say that right now. No.
Okay.
I do not have any preference. All right. Like specifically with me, I will never judge a book by its cover. I do not care. Like, I know it sounds very cliche and a lot of people probably say it, but I actually hold myself up to it. I do not care what a person looks like. It's all about energy and vibes, right? So I do not have, as far as race-wise, a preference, right? But with me, for some reason, I always find myself, all right, with no preference, with darker skinned women.
And that is shocking. Is it because you're from the South? But then again, you grew up in a white suburban neighborhood, so it's like, did that come out of curiosity, or just how
it just happens? Like, you know, the energy is right. Like I said, I've had like I'm not trying to like really sound like any type of way, but you know, I've had like, you know, I've been like with a white woman, I've been with a Filipino woman, like Hispanic, all right, African. It's just like I have no preference. Just like at certain times in my life, it's just like coincidentally it just happens to be, you know, with a dark skinned woman. All right, so I don't go out actively seeking like, oh, I only need dark skin. Like, no, like I don't do that. So like as long as the energy is right and the vibes are good, like that's all that matters for me. Because like I said, looks don't matter to me. All right, because your looks ain't gonna last forever, but your energy and what you bring, you know, out, the energy that you put out into the world, that is everlasting. All right, so your looks. All right, you're not going to look the same in 20 years, right? You're not going to look the same in 30 years, all right? So you can't really rely on just looks. You got to look deeper into that when it comes to energy and just morals and just how like the soul like connects with you and stuff like that, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Heavy on the, it's the energy.
On the vibes, you know, heavy on the vibes, heavy on the energy, and I love it.
And I'm glad that you're not a stereotypical colorist mixed person. I'm just kidding. You know, because we all had our shit, especially as a dark skin woman of colorism and, you know, men.
I will say that now, like we said previously, like being black is cool. So you do see a lot of people going after beautiful dark skinned women because.
Where?
You know what I'm saying? What do you mean where?
Who?
What are you talking about?
Boy, please.
At least for me, at least for me, that's all I see like on my like Instagram every day, just like beautiful dark skins and everything like that, you know, beautiful dark skinned queens and stuff like that. So. You know,
well,
I'm just...
maybe your algorithm know what you like, so they only pushing that content for you, sir. It's like, nah. Dark skin women are getting a lot of love lately, so I can't deny that. I was just teasing. I do see a shift, but then again, I don't know if it's just a trend that people are just following, or if this is something that is like, you know, long term.
I think it's just the culture catching up due to so many societal setbacks throughout time, all right? Like you said, you had slavery, then like, oh, slavery ended when it really didn't end, all right? Then you go ahead and you have segregation and Jim Crow laws and stuff. Like I said, that was 60 years ago. Like I said, earlier I said, like, you have people that are still alive today that were marching with Martin Luther King, that are still alive today. I remember, and they saw from the very beginning the transition from it, right? Like, that's not a very long time. It's not, right? So it's still, the wound is still very fresh. Yeah. But I feel like now, like, we're starting to find our footing, all right, and the momentum is starting to build up, and people are starting to realize the power of the culture, all right, how much influence it has. Because you can't sit here today in today's world and you cannot deny that the black culture has a very large majority influence on pretty much everything. Yeah. All right, like I said, when it comes to music, fashion, even like you're starting to see it now into the movies and stuff like that. It's just wild. Right? I
mean, there was a lot of fighting that had to be done, but you know, you got the job done, and we're still working, still progressing, still pushing for more representation.
Yeah, we're not done yet. All right, not done yet.
Inclusivity. Jesus Christ.
It's a key word.
Right? Child. Anyways. Alright guys, you heard it here. I honestly could go on and on about this biracial topic and race and colorism and all that because I am constantly living it on a daily basis, but we can just go and leave it here for now. Let me know in the comment below your thoughts about this topic. Do you think that biracial people should pick a side, or do you think that they should embrace both cultures? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. You guys do not forget to follow us on Instagram. Hit the subscribe button if you like this content. Share all the likes, and yeah, thank you in advance. You guys have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
The DMV, when somebody's up top, it's always the people who they surpass that's trying to weigh them back down. And we just want to bring all the creators together to uplift one another. Because if you work together, it's easy to get to the top.